New World, an MMORPG developed by Amazon Games Orange County and published by Amazon Games, offers a captivating blend of action combat within an expansive open world setting. Launched on September 28, 2021, this buy-to-play game immerses players in a unique gaming experience set against the backdrop of the mid-17th century. In this virtual realm, inspired by the Age of Exploration, players embark on a journey to colonize a fictional land reminiscent of the Americas. The epicenter of the adventure unfolds on the mythical island of Eternum, situated in the vast expanses of the Atlantic Ocean. After about 1,000 hours in New World, with 100 plus of those since the latest expansion, we're coming towards the end of 2023 now. I've experienced all types of content leading to this review today to help you answer the question, should you play New World in 2024? As of 2023, New World has undergone significant transformations with the introduction of their latest expansion, Rise of the Angry Earth, and the various updates in between. Gear expertise has been abolished, mounts have finally arrived, along with raids, new expeditions, new PvP game modes, and much more stuff. When it comes to visuals, New World isn't just another MMO. It's a standout masterpiece. The game seamlessly blends modern realism with enchanting vibrancy. Picture this, as you explore the diverse landscape, you're not just playing a game, you're stepping into a visually stunning scene that truly grabs your attention. It's not just about what you see, there's a whole auditory feast accompanying your journey. The world of New World feels alive, and the superb sound quality just takes the whole immersive experience up a notch. Every detail has been meticulously crafted, from the echoing sounds of players chopping down trees to the impactful thud of the Warhammer meeting the ground. It all adds up to create this incredibly authentic atmosphere and makes you feel like you're truly part of the action. When you're talking about MMOs, the ebb and flow of fresh and returning players can be make or break. Now let's be real, New World didn't exactly roll out the red carpet for beginners in the past. There was a whole grind to level up saga, followed by the gear expertise hustle and the demands for multiple sets of ward gear just to crack into some content. There's been a serious transformation of epic proportions to fix these problems. The leveling game got a serious makeover thanks to the main story questline that's been overhauled. There's more cutscenes, more engaging narratives, not as many of the dull fetch and return quests that could put you to sleep like there were in the past. The beginner areas got a facelift too, shedding that sloggy vibe that they used to carry. And then enter the Rise of the Angry Earth expansion. And then we get expeditions which have a makeover, especially the normal versions. They're way more doable, which is great because the main story quests love to throw you into those expeditions. And in the old days, that was a struggle without high level gear and high gear expertise. Some of the storytelling in New World has always been quite good because it is fully voice acted. It was more the narrative that was the problem. If you've been around since day one, however, connecting with the story might still be a bit of a struggle. Old habits die hard, and skipping through dialogue used to be the move to speed up missions. And for new players, it's definitely a more engaging experience, but it's the more experienced older players that have been playing the game might find it difficult to get into this new side of the story content. New World's character progression has undergone a comprehensive overhaul, introducing significant improvements for a more streamlined and rewarding experience. The level cap has been expanded to level 65, and the leveling process is very reasonable without feeling too excessive. So it's not super quick to get to 65, but it's much quicker than it used to be. It doesn't feel like as much of a slog as it was in the past. The most noteworthy improvement lies in the removal of gear expertise. New World does not have character classes, instead you are what you wear, and your gear selections dictate the type of character you play. There are regular new weapon additions added, which help to evolve the combat and playstyles. It's always worth using and leveling multiple different weapons to find the right one for you. Now, gear expertise is a thing of the past. Instead, different content yields varying gear levels, with lower tier gear dropping from relative levels and associated quests, while engaging in max level quests and battling tougher enemies reward you with higher level gear. Despite the initial frustration of the max gear score increasing from 625 to 700, this adjustment proves advantageous. Previously, players needed an array of gear sets for different content, which required considerable effort and time to obtain. Now, collecting just one or two sets efficiently covers your needs completely. The process of upgrading gear has become significantly faster. Although it can be expensive, it's definitely more accessible. M3 expeditions reward players with gear which drops from 695 to 700 gear score, so if you're good enough to do that content, it's a really quick way to get the right gear. And gear can be crafted at the gypsum kiln using materials that you acquire during expeditions or from the battle passes. So there's plenty of ways to get gear. There's lots of new farmable gear sets from different bosses across the world of New World, so there's plenty of places that you can get new gear, which is going to be really good. The introduction of artifacts adds an exciting dimension to character progression. These powerful max level items feature set perks which enhance your character substantially. Although not guaranteed, artifacts are reasonably accessible and farmable through specific activities like world bosses or doing Mutation 1 expeditions, but they're obtained in specific ways from specific places. And you're also allowed to equip 1 jewelry, 1 weapon and 1 armor artifacts, which gives you a solid base to work with to increase and improve your character. Crafting and gathering, a pivotal aspect of character progression, has seen its max level increased as well from 200 to 250. While crafting and gathering remains a substantial grind, noteworthy improvements include the introduction of things like golden scarabs, which enable the selection of 2 gear perks, with only 1 random perk roll when you're crafting gear. Additionally, crafting offers the option to use items to guarantee all the perks on your gear as well, making it an invaluable choice for character customization. So if you do focus into crafting, you are going to be rewarded for that. The crafting and gathering system in New World stands out as a real strong point of the game, arguably unparalleled in other MMOs. And being a crafter or gatherer can prove to be very financially rewarding when you eventually max out everything and you can start to craft and sell different items that you can make. Although initially overwhelming, it becomes intuitive and rewarding, complemented by the aptitude system that continues to provide rewards even after maxing out a craft. This robust and gratifying system adds depth to the overall character progression, ensuring that the journey remains engaging and fulfilling. Combat in New World is a high-speed, action-packed system that requires players to juggle ability activations, attacks, blocking and strategic dodging. The unique twist here is the limitations to just 2 weapons, each with 3 abilities, and the option of a heart rune ability. For a seasoned MMO player, this simplicity might seem less engaging compared to games with a plethora of abilities. As a dedicated fan of action combat MMOs, especially playing as a tank, I find Solstice in the control that this combat style provides, timing abilities strategically, considering cooldowns and planning the sequence for maximum impact adds a strategic layer. The combat system's depth increases with passives and gear perks, introducing factors like using heavy attacks to proc damage buffs, or specific movements to reduce ability cooldowns, going beyond the straightforward activation of just 6 abilities. Navigating the intricacies of the action combat system requires heightened awareness, balancing attacks, dodging enemies' assaults, and smart blocking to manage unavoidable damage. In challenging content, mastering these mechanics becomes crucial for success. New World underscores the significance of damage evasion, even for tanks, emphasizing skillful dodging over relying solely on blocking. It encourages finding a balance between defensive maneuvers and maximizing damage output. There's been some significant improvements in the combat of New World as well. Collision has been drastically improved. Previously, this was a massive issue where bosses could make you be pushed around the ground and all these kinds of problems. So they have worked to fix a lot of the issues, and obviously there's regular balancing of weapons and combat to try and make things fair for all different weapon types. For the PvE content, upon its initial release, New World faced criticism for its lack of long-term content. Over the past 2 years, the game has undergone a significant transformation with numerous updates, expansions and additions, breathing new life into this virtual realm. The Brimstone Sands expansion in 2002 marked a turning point, setting a higher standard for New World's content, and the subsequent 2023 patch saw a beginner zone revamped into a captivating max level area, introduced fresh content, new bosses and elite areas to once again set a new standard for what to expect from expansions. Seasonal content, which initiated in 2023, brought a battle pass style progression system, complete with the free and premium reward tracks, alongside compelling season quests and storylines. These rewards, notably enhanced with the recent expansion and big changes, have added value and incentive for both casual and dedicated players. In-game events, while frequent, have seen a decline in my opinion in value post-expansion, due to the gear drops falling below max gear score. Nevertheless, these events serve as a helpful entry point for newcomers and returning players. Over time, they become somewhat repetitive and less enjoyable, however, often featuring a single elite boss, attracting a multitude of players, which causes significant lag. The first few days are manageable, but dwindling player interest makes later attempts insurmountable, emphasizing the need to participate early in these events for a realistic chance of completion. There definitely needs to be some freshness added to these events, but it's not just New World that suffers with this problem. Most MMOs struggle when they repeat yearly events with almost no changes, and they do become quite stale very, very quickly. The recent expansion brought refinements to the expedition system, streamlining modes into story and then mutation 1 to 3 for improved group formation. The upcoming group finder set to launch this month will further enhance cross-server group formation. However, the downside is the requirements to purchase the expansion for access to mutated expeditions now. The difficulty scaling has significantly increased, with M1 presenting a challenge similar to past normal expeditions. M2 introduces a substantial difficulty spike, manageable for organised groups but less ideal for random formations, and M3 even more challenging than past M10 expeditions. It brings a heightened difficulty level. While appreciating the increased challenge and the removal of the need to grind through 10 mutation levels, a kind of new issue arises. Inexperienced players attempting M2 without understanding the increased difficulty can hinder groups, especially when achieving a silver score, which then unlocks their M3. Weekly mutation limits compound the impact of less experienced participants on challenging content. It can be really frustrating because it's a much shorter progression line now. People can get into content much faster, and when you've got experienced players trying to do stuff where they haven't had enough practice on the easier versions than the lower mutations, when you've got that limit there on the amount of expeditions you can do each time, it does become quite frustrating. With PvP content on the PvP front of things, the introduction of influence races offers a refreshing addition, injecting new life into the PvP scene. For players seeking long-term engagement in New World, the PvP aspects including wars, OPR, arena battles and overland PvP prove to be crucial. Joining a company and immersing oneself into the PvP environment and vying for faction dominance not only provides a sense of camaraderie, but it also adds a distinct MMO flavour to the experience. I think one of the most engaging and the biggest parts of making this game a long-term MMO that people will enjoy is getting involved in PvP. If you only focus on PvE, you could get bored very quickly once you've completed everything. Whereas the PvP side of things, because you have companies, you have these wars, it does create a certain level of excitement, especially if you get into a company that you're very engaged with, you're very social, you're very active, then you are going to create this feeling of PvP content being the focal point of New World. Endgame content. So the game developers have been hard at work crafting a more lasting endgame experience. They've beefed up the offerings with a new 10-player raid and an impressive 20-player elite raid, and now with leaderboards for nearly every aspect of the game, there's this push for a healthy competition. They want us all striving for improvement, aiming for better scores and mastering content quicker and more efficiently. There are rewards such as titles and costumes for those who conquer the tougher challenges on the leaderboards. But here's the thing, after a handful of Mutation 3 expeditions, the pool of truly exciting stuff to do starts to dry up. And that's where the magic of guild life and diving into PvP becomes almost essential to keep you wanting to play. It's the secret sauce for keeping the New World journey exciting and enduring. And then when we look at other content, while New World has made strides in certain areas, there's still a noticeable gap in supplementary activities and content. The introduction of mounts is a significant positive, offering a decent leveling system for your mount for a few hours of engaging content. Housing, although functional with storage containers and trophies, falls short of providing the creative freedom found in other games. The new transmog system is a welcomed addition, but unfortunately again, it demands extensive grinding for tokens to the point where I've only earned one in approximately 80 hours of gameplay. Or it requires purchasing them from the store, which makes it less accessible. On a positive note, the music skill and minigame adds a nice touch, providing means to acquire temporary buffs and benefits for your character. However, the overall range of extra activities in New World is somewhat limited, lacking the diversity to keep players consistently engaged. Elements like role-playing are not prominent, contributing to the trend of many players enjoying the game seasonally rather than as their primary MMO. When we take a look at New World's community, now while New World boasts a solid core player base, it still carries a seasonal undertone. Within established companies, many players have prolonged periods of inactivity. Major releases trigger substantial spikes in active players, leading to the creation of new servers to accommodate the surge. However, this influx is short-lived, resulting in a subsequent decline, prompting the merge of new servers with existing ones. This clinical process perpetuates the issue, leaving players dealing with persistent queues without a definitive solution. When these servers get closed down, people are forced into a less amount of servers, and then when they all return again for the next update, it's a massive issue. The communal dynamics within New World exhibit a mixed bag of experiences. The inherent competitiveness coupled with a degree of toxicity is notably prevalent, primarily stemming from the game's PvP orientation, I would guess. Unfortunately, this toxicity often spills over into PvE scenarios. For new players attempting to grasp mechanics or navigate expeditions, the experience can be particularly daunting. Even for seasoned players, there's a noticeable lack of patience with individuals exiting expeditions at the slightest hiccup, sometimes even at the first ad pull or boss if it doesn't go absolutely perfect. There's many sarcastic comments and unwanted complaints about different approaches. Irrespective of effectiveness, further contributes to the challenging atmosphere. And you've only got to look at the general chat to see there's a lot of that sarcastic comments, a lot of people making fun of other people and that kind of stuff, and it doesn't create a really nice environment off the get-go. The team behind New World consistently delivers fresh content and game fixes, keeping players in the loop through social media updates, blogs and videos. Personally, I find their communication with players to be quite effective. Over the past 2 years, there have been some decisions that spark debate, often leaning more towards player overreaction than outright bad choices. However, credit is due to their commitment to enhancing and evolving the game, particularly in terms of accessibility and new player friendliness. Initially, New World operated on a buy-to-access model, with the in-game store featuring premium currency for cosmetics and housing purchases. Major expansions like Brimstone Sands were included free of charge. In 2023, the monetization strategy evolved, introducing a seasonal battle pass with a premium option and requiring a purchase for the latest expansion, Rise of the Angry Earth. This shift seems fair considering the 2 years of content provided for the £30 initial investment, and the reasonably priced expansion upgrade as well. If you don't want to pay a regular subscription fee for an MMO, then New World is really up there with one of the best options for a game that provides many hours of content for just the initial upfront fee, with no forced purchases, with no heavy pay to win or skip aspects. You will, however, likely need to buy yearly expansions in the future. Upcoming content includes a new cross-server grouping tool designed to make it easier to form groups for doing content, and as we move into 2024, we can expect frequent updates and new expeditions, the introduction of new weapons, and a yearly expansion. More information on New World's plan for the year is expected to drop soon. So in conclusion, in New World, the emphasis is squarely on the journey rather than the destination. From navigating through levels and unraveling the story, to upgrading character skills and gear, engaging in mutated expeditions, participating in company wars, the initial experiences are captivating, drawing players in with the allure of breathtaking landscapes, immersive combat, and intricate crafting. However, as one invests more time, the realization sets in. The game lacks the substantial content needed to sustain long-term engagement. It feels more like a seasonal MMO, drawing players back only for updates or expansions before slipping into the background until the next release. An aspect that raises concern for a title that's only 2 years old. In contrast, other MMOs have successfully retained players for extended periods, offering a sense of progression and discovery that New World appears to lack. The endgame experience in New World leaves something to be desired, with noticeable absence of engaging or rewarding activities. While tackling the toughest mutation expeditions is an option, the question remains, why continue doing them after you've completed them, or once you've got on the leaderboard? Joining a company and participating in wars and PvP emerges as the most apparent way to maintain engagement, particularly if a player finds a company that aligns with their preference. Despite its shortcomings, New World's initial purchase is justifiable. It offers ample hours of enjoyable content and an engaging gaming experience. However, its longevity falls short compared to other MMO games. Other established MMOs not only boast extensive content, but also feature intricate narratives and a plethora of detailed side activities that cater to a broader audience, including those interested in things like roleplay and housing, PvP, PvE, a bit of everything. New World feels like a fantastic shell of a potentially amazing MMORPG. If the game's foundations were layered with the lore, the detail, and depth of a major IP, New World would likely be one of the best MMOs around. That prospect might be something we see in the future when Amazon Games unleash their next MMO. So if we quickly just look at some pros and cons. So for the pros, we've got regular updates and improvements, frequent new expeditions and PvE content, exciting for first-time players who are getting to experience everything for the first time. The visual and sound quality is fantastic. Character progression is now quite enjoyable, and it's not a real big grind. It's a nice pace to it. The crafting and gathering system is extremely good in my opinion. I really find it very engaging and very enjoyable. The action-packed combat system is a pro for me. I personally really like it. I like the control of my character and the way mechanics work and the way characters work and how fights progress. And the potential for future improvement is definitely there with New World. When we look at the cons, servers are jammed for new updates and expansions, which can be extremely frustrating, especially if you are one of the more consistent people who play the game. It definitely has a seasonal player base where people will come back for the expansion and then they'll leave again, and that will keep happening. There are some toxic community dynamics out there that mostly revolve around companies and PvP, but that does overspill into that PvE scene as well. The endgame content has some limitations. Yes, you can go and do the raids. Yes, you can go and do the expeditions. There's a big lack of constant engaging content to do there. Limited supplementary activities. The long-term engagement concerns are there as well, and it is concerning because this isn't a very old game. So my final rating for this game would be a 7.3 out of 10. And like I say, it's definitely worth its initial purchase. If you buy the game, you've got a lot of hours worth of fun to have. If you buy the expansion, again, there's still plenty of hours worth of content to enjoy through the expansion. I've myself put 1,000 hours in, and it's definitely been worth it. And there's no force for you to buy anything. You don't have to pay any other money. There's no subscription that makes you feel like you need to have it. So it's a really good purchase and a good MMO to try out if you haven't played it yet. So that is everything for this review, and should you play New World in 2024? Thank you very much for watching this video. If you would like to get any tank content for New World and other MMOs as well, make sure you check out my website, thetankclub.com, and our Discord as well. Also below, you'll find a link to my MMO community Circulus, which is a new MMO community that I've started, where we're planning to build up a community in as many MMOs as possible and create guilds, create a fun atmosphere for people to come and be sociable, to come and join groups, and just enjoy MMOs for how they're supposed to be. So if you want to join that, it's going to be an EU-based thing, but everybody can join. The link is in the description below. Thank you to all of our Patreons, subscribers, and YouTube members for their support. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.